What's going on, Detroit Lions fans? Welcome back, Detroit N313. I got a little Friday night special for you guys. I don't think I've done a Friday evening slash late night episode in quite a while. So I was just sitting around tonight and I had a little idea pop in my head. There's some Detroit Lions players out there that I just haven't heard a lot of this past training camp, off season, and it's not a bad thing. It's not like we're going to be talking about lack of production or any type of question marks or concerns. This isn't that type of episode. Just some guys that I feel like are I guess, flying under the radar, if you will. That's probably the best way to put it. Just some guys who are big names for the Detroit Lions. And when it came to practices and stuff like that, haven't seen much. And these are guys that haven't played in preseason games, so maybe that's a factor. I admit that maybe it's because they haven't played in preseason games. But I want to start with just some underrated Lions. Three guys I got on my list, not in any order. Not This isn't a ranking show. I have to put that out there. I'm just talking three guys. David Montgomery, I feel like I just haven't heard a lot about him, and I think he's going to have a big year. And why I think we haven't really heard too much about David Montgomery is because a lot of us are excited about Jahmyr Gibbs, where a lot of us are excited about Jamison Williams and the big playability, but we're forgetting about the most probably reliable player we had on offense from the skill set position last year in David Montgomery. Just looking at his stat line from last year, like we're talking about a guy who had over 1,000 yards rushing, 13 touchdowns, and he's just not being mentioned. Not getting enough credit, man. We're here at Detroit Den 3-3 to shine a little light on some of our guys that we can depend on, man. And I think David's going to have another solid year, man. I think he's just going to have the same type of year he did last year. I think he's going to continue to be that workhorse with the Ferrari behind him and Jahmyr Gibbs. A little thunder, a little lightning. One of my favorite plays from last season was against the Los Angeles Chargers when we went out to California. David Montgomery rattled off that 75-yard run, got some blocks downfield. David Montgomery is still an absolute problem that you have to game plan for. If you're a defensive coordinator and you're playing the Detroit Lions this week, there's a lot of names you got to put on your board to get your defense ready for. Sam Laporta, Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, J-Mo, the offensive line, Jared Goff. We got to throw in David Montgomery. This is a guy who's just going to pound the ball right up the middle, wear you down, punch you like a heavyweight boxer, and it's going to start opening up some stuff, man. He's going to make that defensive line get tired. The offensive line's going to keep churning. David's going to keep running. Listen, again, I know it's because he probably hasn't played in any preseason games, which I'm perfectly fine with. If you guys watch my game day episodes, I say it in the very beginning. I don't want to see starters play. I'm okay with David not playing in the preseason game. But when it comes to like practices and stuff, it's kind of just Demo's just flying under the radar, man. And like I said, just want to kind of shine a little light. We appreciate the work that David Montgomery does. He really gets in there in those muddy, ugly areas, and he just kind of is a bruiser in a football game. And if you get caught sleeping, he's going to hit you with the home run and take it the distance, just like he did in that Chargers game. I'm excited for Demo. And I guess what kind of popped this in my head was when we did our fantasy football draft last week, I noticed David Montgomery was just kind of hanging around. We don't do a snake draft. It's a different type of league that I run. It's an auction league, if you're familiar with that format. I noticed David Montgomery was just kind of hanging around a little longer than I expected him to. I thought once Jahmyr Gibbs got drafted or put up, I thought David Montgomery would be coming down the pipeline pretty soon. He just kind of sat on the shelf, and I feel like that's kind of where I said, why are we sleeping on David Montgomery? Why is everyone kind of just not talking about him, man? Because he's healthy, he's big, he's dependable, he's fast, he can do everything you want to do in a running back. So David Montgomery, Demo, Chuck Bruce, if you're familiar with that term, looking forward to seeing you on Sundays here real soon, buddy. Let's get into our next guy. We're talking these next two guys are some OGs for the Detroit Lions. All right, we're talking some guys who have been around for the league for a little bit, and some of the senior Detroit Lions, I guess. Alex Anzalone. Again, when we're talking about defense, who are we talking about? Brian Branch, Aiden Hutchinson, Ennis Rakestraw, Terrion Arnold, DJ Reader. We're talking about the young kids that we drafted, some of the pass rushers, Ali McNeil. We're forgetting about the heart and soul of this Detroit Lions defense. We're forgetting about Alex Anzalone, who had a career year last year. 129 tackles, 85 solos, 3 sacks, a fumble recovery, 6 passes defended. This dude is the heart and soul of the Detroit Lions defense. Wears the green dot for a reason. He's smart, physical. One of my favorite parts of game day, I always look forward to when the defense is getting announced coming out of the tunnel. I know they alternate, it's every other game. When it's the defense, Aiden Hutchinson gets the loudest pop. When he gets his intro, everyone goes wild for Aiden Hutchinson. Alex Anzalone is a real close second. He's a fan favorite. So, like I said, just kind of flying under the radar with some of the acquisitions that we've made this offseason and in the draft. Just not getting the light shined on him like he needs, man. And again, not playing in preseason games, best hair in the business. We got to shine a little light here at Detroit Den 313. I love Alex Anzalone. He's the glue guy of this defense. And the way he plays, the way he performs, flying around with that golden hair, flying out of the back of his helmet, like he's very easy to identify. I love watching Alex Anzalone play. I think he's kind of, in a way, I think he's kind of rejuvenated his career. And not to say like he was like falling off or anything, but he just kind of, I think he found a home in Detroit. And I think the fans appreciate his work, his mentality, his work ethic, his toughness. I think that he's definitely someone we can kind of resonate with. And he kind of reminds, I was a little young, right about the time I started getting into football, kind of just reminds me of maybe a little bit of Chris Spielman, maybe a little bit. And again, I'm not an old timer when it comes to football. So if some of you guys were watching football way back then, maybe you can back me up on that. But I do see some resemblances in how he's taking on the mantra of the city, kind of just that through his play, he just kind of resembles the city of Detroit. And I think that's why a lot of fans just latch on to him. And I love having him around. He's going to be here for a couple more years, coaching up Jack Campbell, captain of the defense. I love me some Alex Anzalone, man. Next on the list, Kerby Joseph. And the only news we've really seen from Kerby Joseph this offseason was the fight that he had with Malik Neighbors. But if I put that to the side and I see some of the clips that I've seen, some of the stuff that I've seen and read on Twitter and some articles and stuff, it sounds like Kerby's having a pretty good year. And again, hasn't played in any preseason games. That's perfectly fine. I'd rather him be ready for the regular season. That's more important to me. What I think Kerby is going to be able to do this year, and he's been on record saying that he wants to lead the NFL in interceptions, and I think that's a good possibility. With his style of play and how this defense is kind of, it's not, I don't want to say it's built around Kerby Joseph, but it's built to help him really succeed, where he can just kind of sit back and play a center field role more as a safety, just kind of sit back, read and dissect coverage, let those pass rushers get after it, let those other corners lock people down, let Brian Branch do what he's going to do. And then there's Kerby Joseph just kind of sitting back, picking out a weakness on a play. And I feel like he's going to be in good striking position, playing that center field spot, if you're familiar with that term on a football field. It's just kind of where a safety, like I said, just kind of sits back and they can just see how things are going, what the formation is, route combinations, depending on down and distance. There's a lot of different things that Kerby Joseph will be able to see better, I think, this year with Brian Branch playing full-time opposite safety. Some of these better cornerback play we're going to have, some improved pass rush with some guys that we've added, Marcus Davenport, DJ Reader, Aiden Hutchinson, Ali McNeil, those guys getting after the quarterback. And then with that revamped secondary, Kerby Joseph is kind of the OG of this team when it comes to secondary. Like, he's only in year 3, but from a secondary standpoint, we're looking at Brian Branch, who's really a first-year starter. I know he was phenomenal as a rookie, but Carlton Davis is new. Rakestraw's new, Arnold's new, Amik Robertson's new. Kerby's kind of the old man of the defensive backs, and I think he's going to have a big year too. And I'm excited to see if he can live up to that goal of leading the NFL in interceptions. And with the scheme that the Detroit Lions are going to play with Aaron Glenn's press man coverage that he likes to do, and allowing Kerby to just kind of sit back, I think he can make that happen. So leave it in the comments, guys. There's my 3 that are kind of flying under the radar. If there's someone I missed or someone you want to add to the list, leave it in the comments. Stick around. Hit that like button. I'll be back later with another show.